I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Scorpio Mama, good evening. Watermelon, good evening. I just popped up here real quick. I just wanted to, I was I was going through some of my lives, just reviewing it, and somebody asked me, they was very interested in seeing what I thought about intuition and discernment. So, when somebody asks you to, elaborate or, just to discuss it, I think, you got to give everybody what they want. The word, my 33 brother, what's going on? What up, though, Nine? Lisa J, good evening. So let's just chop it up, right? Let's just have that conversation real quick. So intuition, I know a lot of people, think that when you think of intuition, you think about women's intuition. And, for the most part, they say, it's like a woman intuition. If it's a guy, it's a gut feeling, they going with their gut type of scenario, right? So pretty much the definition of intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need of conscious reasoning. So in other words, it's like if you feel like, most women would say, for example, I know he's cheating on me. I feel it. My intuition is telling me that he's cheating. I'm using that as an example, not for nobody saying that in real life, but, just to have a conversation, right? So if that's the case, that's more of an emotional feeling, right? Because some people may ask, if a woman has that intuition to say that they're cheating, why don't they have that intuition of saying that, their man is feeling some type of way and had that conversation, right? And, that's a good point. But if it's just a feeling, they may not be able to pick up on that because that feeling is about them because they feel like they're being hurt. They feel like they're being played or anything like that. Somebody's harming them. So their intuition is more about a defensive, defense mechanism, some way to like block it out to where, I got to stop the hurt before it starts. And discernment when you think about discernment, you think about, I know a lot of people think about spirituality and all of those type of things, but which is the case. But when you think about discernment, you think about somebody making a wise decision with clarity. As I discussed about discernment on one of my lives not too long ago, it's a clarity type of scenario. So to me, intuition and discernment is it it gives you two different aspects. One's with feeling and another is just with clarity. So I don't think those two, they could elaborate or anything of that nature, because like I just said, one is emotion and the other is just, you know, you have time. Intuition is like a instantaneous feeling. Like, when you have butterflies in your stomach, I think I'm in love and things like that. Right? That's the butterflies. That's, some people may say it's nervousness, some people, but it's a feeling that just overcomes you, and it may last for a long time. You know, that intuition, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Where discernment, it takes you a long time to clear and get the clarity of the mind to be able to see the vision of the vision of discernment in a proper aspect. Like you may feel anger, but when you come to the point of discernment, is that feeling is taken away from you, and now you can say, you know what, I understand why he spoke to me that way, or I understand why she spoke to me um in that way. And it wasn't, you had time to decipher moods and attitudes and feelings to come to a clear conclusion of a situation, where intuition is a more of an instantaneous thing. So in other words, it takes you a longer time to get discernment, but the intuition may stay with you longer. You know what I mean? So it's like a opposite thing. So those are the disparities of intuition, right? So let's just say, you know, I'm a dude, and well, I'm not saying I'm a dude, but I'm a dude. I'm gonna use me as an example. So when you around people, right, you got that, if you was on the streets, you would understand what I'm saying, right? So you like, yo, I feel funny standing outside. Something about to happen. What you mean something about to happen? I don't feel right. I feel a little bit off. And then, something happens, whether, somebody trying to rob you, or the police is pulling up on you, want to, ask you questions, thinking you selling drugs or whatever the case may be. That's an intuition. That's a gut feeling that something is a little bit off, right? To where if you have discernment, you know what? I sat back and I observed. I observed, I observed the word, and word was having a conversation, and I don't think he was being malice of how he broke down how he viewed me. Y'all understand the difference between the two? So those are the two differences. There's many other examples, but I, I'm just saying that because a lot of people may feel that intuition and discernment is the same, and it's nowhere near the same thing. And it's all because of time, right? If you have time to sit back and elaborate on things, if you have time to sit back and listen to a person to understand them, instead of hearing to debate, because even if you hear to come back, that could be more of an intuition because it's instantaneous. I'm not trying to hear what you're saying, I'm just going right back at that. You try to play me. I heard what you said, and you said that I got seven toes. You trying to play me, you trying to say I'm a freak of nature or something like that, instead of, well, I heard what you said, I don't think that's what you meant. So I'm not going to take it as an insult. That's discernment. You took the time to understand the person's point of view. You took the time to listen for understanding. That can give you much faster discernment than just hearing the respond, which will be an intuition. You understand? So those are the differences. So I say that to prove the point that those are two different entities. Those are two different scenarios, and that's just you know the way that goes. I think I spoke to everybody, right? Yeah, I did. So I mean, what you guys? I mean, do you guys have an example of where those two can be the same scenario? I don't have a problem having that conversation about it, because we have to understand that you know a healthy conversation can get people on the same page, whether it's my decision or their decision, or my opinion or their opinion. The goal is to try to come to equal ground, whether you're right or I'm right. But if we can have the conversation, we can either see it or we could agree to disagree. You know, it's just, because I know, like I said earlier, I know a lot of people going to have discernment and they're going to talk about, oh man, how did I get there? Hold on, word. My bad, y'all. I dropped out for, yeah, so I dropped the link. But, I want to have this conversation so that way there can be a, a understanding of intuition versus discernment. For me, it's clear and cut. They're two totally different things. Even if you get the same results, you may get the same results, but the way about going about it is two different things. So, you know, my 33 brother, what up though?
What up, though? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. So,
Okay, cool.
what do you think about this conversation of discernment versus intuition?
I think you're right. I just came to add a little sauce to the conversation. Um, the key thing what you said is clarity with discernment, right? So, like when I teach discernment, I teach it from a point that is intuition clarified, or you're making a logical, you're getting a logical understanding of intuition of that feeling because it's combined. It's the feeling with the thought. The clarity comes through thinking, but the feeling ignites the initial thing when you're talking about discernment. And I was gonna use the example you just gave, like when women, when you talk about cheating, right? So what intuition would be is like you said, if they get a feeling without looking at anything, right? That's just intuition. They just feel like someone's cheating. But once they get that feeling and if they make logical sense, well, I feel like this because he's doing this, doing that, doing that. Okay, maybe like you said, clarify it. Well, maybe he's doing this because of that. He's doing this because of that. Okay, now I don't think he's cheating. I understand why he's doing that. You see what I'm saying? So it can be used at the same. it should be used at the same. It's two different things, but at the same time, it's like intuition is like discernment, but immature. That's what is immature. Is when you're not connected. When you, like you said, when you're making the emotional impulse moves off of the way you feel without logically understanding why you feel that way.
Evening, Shakira. Yeah, because I know a lot of people will say something about, the religious aspect of the thing, and I, I'm not even trying to touch the religious aspect of it. I'm just saying that it just takes more time to have discernment, because if you just go off of the feeling or the reaction, because whether some people know it or not, sometimes your reaction is based off of your feeling. So it's not a discernment, it's more of an intuition, because you just like, da, 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 and you didn't even give time to have the thought process of what did he mean. You more responding to what you just heard instead of listening to understanding. And so that's why for me, it's it's not it's a difference with distance. It's not like like in love or something to that scenario. It's a little distance between the two. It's not even like on the same page, because the emotions of a thing, the emotions of the intuition is crazy. Like I said, if you sitting outside, and Spidey, let's just say when Spider-Man says his Spidey senses is tingling, that's an intuition. That's not a discernment.
Yeah.
But he just one of those people that could pick up on it. And a lot of the times he's right, but that's not discernment. Like, oh, I just felt that. You know what I mean? It's a totally different thing from where, well, if I sat down and worried about how this person is moving on me, I could stop him before he gets to me. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. You took time to have that process thought out, instead of just, well, I just feel like somebody's after me, or somebody's talking about me, or somebody gossiping, or whatever the case may be. That's for me, that's the difference between intuition and discernment.
And that's right because uh, sorry about that. But you have to. There's no discernment without intuition, though. That's the whole key. Like even when you talk about taking it to the religious, that's occult science. Like even the way they explain discernment in the body, I mean in the Bible, is the completion is you functioning out your higher self. So like when I say there's no discernment without intuition, because you go into it, break down what we said. Intuition is clarity of how we feel. So without that feeling, there's nothing to need clarity. So it's the mind interacting with the heart. It's the mind interacting with the emotion, the two aspects of yourself. The conclusion is the body, is what you do. So that's the whole metamorphosis of completion, mind, body, soul. You functioning at your higher self. That's what discernment is. That's what discernment is. But like you said, it takes time. Why does it take time? Because you have to be aware of first the emotion, and then you have to clarify the emotion. So it takes, I don't want to say investigation, but you have to identify why you feel the way you feel, why you think the way you think. Because nine times out of ten, the way you thinking is because of the way you feel. So I mean, but that's how they. I mean, when you like, I literally, the way you know how I came upon the definition of discernment is because I was being taught by my Baba Haru, my spiritual teacher. He was telling me it's time for me to develop discernment, and I'm like, I got discernment. He said, no, you got intuition. Then he broke it down for me, right? And he said to develop this, you first must control the emotion, because what will happen once you feel the emotion, you will have a reaction, an impulse. You will do something. So what you have to do is control the emotion, understand the emotion, and identify why you got that emotion. So the whole thing I've been teaching y'all is I've been trying to help people develop discernment the whole time. Uh, listen to the videos when I tell you to ask yourself why. Like that discernment is literally you functioning out your higher self. Both parts of you, your mind and your emotions, working cohesively together. That's what discernment is. That's you at your highest point of analyzing your outside environment. Discernment is supposed to be used to understand the outside. That's a thought with understanding, not without emotion, but with understanding emotion. You understanding how the outside stimulates the inside.
Yeah.
What do you use? What
Commander,
do
good
you
evening.
use? Commander, what up, though? My bad, bro.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, but that's one of the keys.
So let me ask you this question then. Can you have can you have discernment without spirituality? Can you
The
gain
the
discernment without spirituality? Or
this is the reality. Th- This is the reality, right? There's um spirituality is a concept that we choose to use to understand. If you have a spirit, you have no choice but to interact. I mean, you're a living spirit, literally. I understand what you're saying without practicing like spiritual practices. Some things
right.
are just on higher levels than other people. Some people need the spiritual practices to understand. Some people are the spiritual practices. It's just natural in them. So I believe you can. You probably, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I got around and I already recognized. I already knew how it worked. I knew what it was, but now I had a name for it that somebody else called it, but I was doing it at higher levels than other people. Like I said, like the power of forgiveness. They actually teach you how to forgive, bro. Like this is what I'm saying. Like when you into like Buddhism, when you practice these things, there's a difference between reading a book and then doing what the book says. Because when you do what the book say, you go from a level of understanding to comprehending. It's
Yeah.
okay to understand things, but I mean, if you want to get into the levels of if you want to get into the levels of thinking, you got to understand, overstand. I just jump straight to comprehension
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's vernacular everybody can understand. So
In my opinion, no, it can only come through spirituality and a connection with God. See, that's where I was going, Commander, because I know a lot of people deal with spirituality, but a lot of them think it's a religion based thing. Discernment is not a religion based thing. It's more of a spirit, like, because religion and spirituality has been combined in the way that it has been. A lot of people don't understand that those two can be separated. It's like a compound word. Like, it might be a compound thing for some people as far as religion and spirituality, and it doesn't have to be. And that's the thing, I was trying to get to. But when you made your comment, it's more like, well, you gotta have a religion. Like, a lot of people really feel like you have to have a religion to have discernment instead of, being
uh,
spiritual. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not on a religion based thing. Like, I know if I'm Christ, like, I know my spirit is right. I can say I have discernment because I'm following Christ like attributes. Well, somebody say, well, if you read the Bible and you do what the Bible say every day, you can get discernment. You can, but y'all making it more of a religious attribute instead of a spiritual attribute. And that conversation is another conversation. But the fact of it is, you have to, like, I agree with you, but God is not a religion, but people make his conversations, his talks with, or his words of religion. And that's why many people fight. See, if people had discernment, they can agree with you right there, Commander. And that's the thing that we have to understand. But I promise you, if somebody reads that, and if you to put that on a community wall, I guarantee you, somebody's intuition would have been triggered by you saying what you just said, and that's the difference, and that's what we're trying to show everybody, that intuition is more of an instantaneous thing, and discernment, it takes time for you to understand. Well, I don't think he meant that was how she said it, and somebody's intuition like, defend that, because that's not true, that's not accurate, that's not this, that's not that. And that's the thing, and that's why I said, for me, it's a broader thing than like and love, because like and love, you're on the same path, even though word said is the elevation of intuition, but it's more of a separate, for me it's a separation, because okay, the intuition is to respond right now, but the discernment is to elevate it, but to distance yourself from the feeling so you can have clarity of what you want to say and how you portrayed what was said in the beginning. You bypassed your intuition, you elevated, and you moved away from the intuition side of it. So that's why I'm saying, to me, it leads to it, but it's like you separating it. It's like a fork in the road type of scenario, in my opinion.
But check this out. Now watch this, because we saying the same thing. Why do you need to
Right.
separate the emotion? Now watch this though. Why do you need to separate the emotion though?
Because the emotion is clouding you don't have clarity when you have emotions involved with a lot of situations, and because there's no clarity in a thing, and it's clouding your judgment, you're not able to view or observe or see what is really in front of you, because it's like like I just said, some people may be triggered about a thing, if we just say God is not a religion, I promise you, somebody, God is a religion, he told you Jesus Christ is this and this, and that's a triggering, because you see in red, you're not seeing clearly, you got a log in your eye, because you saying God is not a religion. Oh, she's saying God is not a religion. It triggers somebody to say, well, God is Jesus, and go down another rabbit hole. You know what I mean? Instead of just saying, well, God is not a religion, but he made his son. He wanted people to follow his son. That's a discernment, because you took the time and not to be triggered about what they said, and then go on in and taking the time to separate what was really said. You dissecting what's really said, or dissecting the emotion out of your clear, to be clear about what you want to say.
And see, that's one way to do it, right? But it's to get the same result, because what the way I was posing was to understand that emotion, right? That's how you gain control of it. The whole point is to get control. So either get rid of it or understand it. But it's to logically think why. That's how you get to the why. It's by understanding, why did this make me feel this way? Because just looking at the subject, I mean, you will get a level of understanding. But comprehension is
Mm.
knowing the mechanics, the beginning and the end, and everything in between. So to even understand the situation, you have to understand why it made you feel a certain way. So that's a good way to take. That's how I take myself out of it. But some people might. It took me a while to get there. So um, eliminating the emotion might help you look at the situation better. It's a process. You got to understand before you can comprehend. So
And see, even if you look at it that way, right? You saying get to the why. People were just going to the what. Like, what did they just
yeah.
say? You see what I'm saying? What
Mm-hmm.
did he just say? Well, what? Wait, what? Look, they saying wait, what, instead of why did he say it? Wait, why did he say it that way? Or why is he trying to elaborate it in that format? Or why? They're not even getting to the why. They respond so quickly because their emotion gets in the way. So it's like, what? What the hell he talking about? He ain't making no sense. Instead of saying, well, I understand why he said that. You see what I'm saying? So as long as you don't have that you don't have the separation of the two. Like you said, we are agreeing with each other, but some people don't know how to separate the two to where you can just go straight to discernment. And that's why I'm saying a lot of people, because they don't know how to do that, they may think a lot of their discernment is intuition, and then it's leading them down the wrong way, because in discernment you can get clarity. In the intuition you just going with the emotion, and the emotion will make something worse. You could have resolved it, but it makes a problem continue to be a problem. So yeah, that's that for me, that's how I would get to that point of the differences between the discernment and the intuition. But I'm pretty sure, like I said, there's other people that may not be agreeing with us right now, and may be triggered about, well, they're not explaining it right. Instead of you taking the time to hear where we're going, you probably just reacting to what we're saying, that is not the same, and not why it's, I mean, it's a difference, and why it's a difference, or why there's an elevation, or why you have to separate the two, or any of those things. You just like, what are they talking about? This, and that. So, you know, the conversation that we having is to show why it's a elevation from intuition or to discernment, or why you have to separate your intuition from your discernment. But some people may not understand what we're saying, so we're having a conversation just for people to have, to view the differences, not to simplify it for anybody, but just to view the differences. You can get to your own conclusions, but we're helping you, trying to distinguish the differences and why you have to branch it off or separate it to come to the higher part of discernment, and not the lower part of intuition. It has to be an elevation, like Word said. So, you know, everybody has to, get to their own conclusion though. Oh, Word, you there? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, that was all facts, bro. Like, you have to separate. Like, I think of it as participation trophy. Just like people walk around and say, I got my third eye open. Like, do you know how much work you got to put in? I can hear people. I can hear how they talk about their past. Like, it's impossible. I can tell you what chakra is blocked. So you not flowing at your highest peak. You think the third eye sounds so, it sound cool to say, but it's really something. Um, it's really a level of consciousness. I promise you it is. And
And
once
for a
you
lot
achieve,
of
you just, my bad, but once you achieve
no,
it, you look at things totally different. I mean, you can always backslide, but
and that's the thing. Even as we talk about discernment, even in that example, you have to understand that there's another elevation of discernment, right? You might just hit the simplest part of discernment, but there's more room for discernment, because you still have to decipher. You still have to cancel out the noise of what's being said and all of that other stuff. Like I said, for me, the intuition is I don't want to say it's a lower level of discernment, but I could understand why people could combat that. Those two are one and the same. Like I said, for me, it'd be like and love. It has to be an elevation of something that you like in order to love it. You're just not going to love something that you don't know. You're not going to, you understand what I'm saying? So you're not going to get discernment without the feeling, like you were saying earlier, because like I said, I disagreed with you that we're saying the two things, but now I'm saying it to where everybody could understand exactly what you meant, because the intuition is a feeling, but in order to get to the discernment, you got to understand why you feeling the way that you're feeling. Take that away, and now you got to dissect it to where you can see it clearly, and now you can discuss what the discernment is, because now there's clarity away from your emotion. So I definitely agree.
my bad, bro. I didn't know I had my mic on. I thought I was on mute. Uh,
No,
yeah,
you
I'm ready.
okay? Yeah, okay.
But but
Commander says everyone has intuition, not everyone has discernment. I agree with
yeah,
that.
yeah, I can agree with that. Well,
And that's the thing because nobody takes the time to work on discernment and because that's what I was thinking about too. Like I want to say intuition is a physical thing, and discernment is more of a spiritual aspect to spirit. The spiritual aspect is like okay, I'm not thinking with my fleshly self or my gut intuition or anything like that. It elevate it like it's you using 2/3 of the Trinity, but the discernment comes in clearly when all three is working together, right? So I can definitely agree with what Commander's saying because of that reason alone. Because one is the physical and the other is spiritual.
I would say, I mean that's honestly that's a I guess an easy way to explain it, but I wouldn't agree because like even discernment. I mean, you to say intuition is spirit physical. That's more spiritual. Like people don't understand what intuition is to even get to discernment. Intuition is not lesser than discernment. Without intuition, there is no discernment. There is no feeling. That feeling is intuition. That's your inner navigational saying yes or no. You just don't know why. That's where discernment
Mm,
comes in. Is understanding why you get that feeling in the first place. Each feeling gives you a thought. Anytime you feel something, you go think yes or no in those aspects. Either I want to do it or don't. But do you understand why? That's what discernment is. Discernment is your why.
I, I got
So
you. And
the
that
intuition, I mean, your intuition could be on fleek. Your inner navigational system can be running high and guiding you. Some people, we call them lucky. They just go with what they feel. That's their inner navigation. It's on fleek. It's highly functional. They just don't know why. They
mm,
just doing what it say, and it's guiding them. They're making the right decision. Sometimes you feel like you may be around somebody like and get a bad feeling, and you might think it's the area, but it's the actual person, or you might think it's the person. It might be the environment. You don't know why you got the feeling, so that's when people make wrong decisions. Like you can
that's
be, I give you an example, right? Intuition. You
mhm.
might get around somebody, right? You might get around a female and you might feel love, right? You might think it's because of the female, because you got a feeling, you're around her, I feel love. No, it's the idea. It's
Mm.
not the person, but it's the situation. Discernment
Lady Show, good
comes when
evening.
you like, have you ever been around someone and said this feel good, but you just realized it wasn't the person, but it was just the situation. You being around someone felt good. You didn't really care who the person was you was around. You just wanted to be around, or you just wanted to get out the house, and it don't matter where you went, it just felt good to get out the house. But you might be in a place thinking like, oh, this place is making me feel good. No, it's the fact that you get out the house. And discernment tells you which one, or it discernment clarifies why you feel that way, why you even got that feeling. Because both of them
That's
start
a
from
way.
feeling. Both one is understanding the feeling, one is just the feeling itself.
Mm.
Like even by definition, when you look at it, one discernment is knowing, like knowing
Right.
what. Well, I got this feeling because this situation happened. I got this feeling. And because I had past experience or because I can logically think through, I know why I got the feeling. I just have to analyze and get the answer from it now. That's discernment. The feeling is like you said, police pulling over. Like this is intuition discernment with the police, right? Intuition.
Hmm.
The police pulled his car over because it was driving funny. It didn't use a turn signal or something. And by the looks of the car, the cop feel like it might be a problem, right? So he go to the car with his guns drawn, and yeah, it's a problem, you know. Uh, it was all feeling, but a cop pulled someone over, same reason, Then use the turn signal, and then he started looking at the car, noticed the plate is expired, noticed the passenger and the driver's jittery. Um, It looked like it looked like they got he could smell faint smell of marijuana. So now he knows the problem because he analyzed and seen all this stuff. That's disturbing. He made sense of the feeling. Why do I feel this way? Well, look at the car. All this stuff is right in front of you. That's why people use intuition and be with somebody and they feel good, right? And then they get cheated on and they say, why didn't I see the signs? Well, you seen them, but you was going with the feeling. You thought the feeling was coming from the person and it was from the situation. So you ignored all the signs. But if you was using discernment, you would have seen, okay, I got this feeling because I like being in this situation. Oh shit, no, they doing some fuck shit. Okay, let me get out of here. That's discernment.
Yeah, see, even as you said that, right? It's more like, okay, I could see it, but I didn't want to believe it, but I felt it. You see what I mean? It's like, but like I said, that's I can understand why people can have those two as closely knit as as you just explained it. That for a lot of people, that's why it could be as simple as that. That's what I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, ladies think that, I'm not saying it to be sexist or whatever, but, women depend on their intuition more than a lot of the time, more than discernment, because it's like, all right, I felt it. I'm going with that. They could, now here's my question. Can you turn your intuition into a fake, and I mean, a false discernment? Is that even possible? You know what I mean? Like, They
I
believe
mean,
they believe they intuition is so right, and then they just see something incorrectly. You see what I mean?
they would have to claim it though, because like if you think like discernment is you logically thinking. That's just what discernment is. Is you thinking
Hmm.
about you making sense of what you feel. That's what discernment is. So whoever created the word had that ideology in mind. So I mean, they will have to claim it, but like they made the words one and the same. They already did. I
Mm.
mean, honestly, because when you talk to the common person, they think intuition and discernment is the same thing, and it's not. Like you said, it's two different things. One is you feeling, one is you. That's two different things. Even if one is a component of the other, it's still a different. So you have to. That's like school, bro. That's how I look at it. Discernment is college education. Intuition, if you master it, you can master that. That's like high school, graduating high school. If you master it, most people don't even dig into their feeling, know why they feel the way. You got to know why you feel the way you feel, and then analyze the situation. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I know why I feel this way, but now I got to analyze the situation.
So
You
what
know,
happened when they drop out? Word. What happened when they drop out? They don't get to the high school level. What where we at with that?
then I'll get to the high
Or is that
school
another
level.
conversation? They drop out. They drop out in the ninth grade. Where we at with it? Where they at when they at that level?
Where they at with that level, that's the maturity level. That they probably at what 13 years old. Like you have to mature everything, not only your mind but your spirit, understanding your emotions. Understanding those. That's your responsibility. That you have to mature that. That's an aspect of you, so it has to grow. A lot of people don't do that. They
I
bypass
agree.
it.
I
You
agree.
know, they even mental. They bypass the mental, the level. I mean, most people just stop at understanding. That's the same concept. If you're talking about discernment, so discernment and intuition is the equivalent to understanding and comprehending.
I get it.
If you're
I agree
talking
with that.
about so imagine if you get to a level of comprehension and a level of discernment because they work one with another, consciousness and if you want to believe it or not. So even to comprehend, you have to eliminate the way you feel about something and just look at it for what it is. To comprehend, you're seeing what a person is trying to convey. That's like if I just come up here cussing and stuff, right? You be like, dang man, word disrespected my panel, you disrespected me, this, that, right? That's understanding what happened, but a level of comprehension where word did that because of this. That don't make it right or wrong what I did, but understanding why do you need to understand to prevent that from happening again? Not just with word, but with anyone. Now I done learned from the situation.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's comprehending versus understanding. Same concept of intuition and discernment. You have to have understanding to comprehend, or you have nothing to comprehend if you don't have a understanding. So,
Yeah, got you.
oh
So
man,
in other
I'm
words, you're saying
sorry
if
about
you
that.
don't, I know I was
Hmm?
about to tell you get off anyway. I was
Yeah.
about to tell you drop off.
Now work out
Well,
for it, man. I'm gonna push you back. I'm gonna push you back.
I
But
got
this is a
you.
good conversation, man.
Intrinsic, good evening. How you feeling? Hope all's well with you. Um, yeah, like you saying in order for you to like there has to be an elevation of understanding as well. Then is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
In
And
order to
comprehension.
comprehend, there has to be an elevation of understanding.
Yes. That's what comprehension is. It's beyond understanding. Now, like this is where people get locked up in their self. People get locked in their self. So when you talk about intuition, what is that? That's self. When you talk about understanding, what is that? That's self. I know. Now I know. But do you know why? Like you said earlier, the the intuition and the understanding level is the what. You look at it and see what it is, and you move forward from there. The the discernment, the comprehension, that's uh discernment and comprehension is the
That's
higher
the
level.
why. Yeah, that's the
That's the
why.
why.
Because we talking about what and why. So intuition is
Now,
it was the what, and now we're talking about the why. Got you. Go ahead.
so now remember when we was teaching the philosophy of completion is to use those simultaneously, the what and the why. When you do something, what are you doing and why are you doing it? Or how?
Hmm.
Or how you I prefer how. I think I use how I didn't use what. I actually use how. So that's my bad. I didn't yeah. Put the what and why. But when when we doing stuff like how should I do it? That's the conscious level. Why should I do it? So you do the things the right way for the right reason. Because if you can't get to a what and you can't get to a why, I mean you'll get anywhere to go, you go get to a what and a why. Even if you're not doing something for someone, you'll get to the what
Yeah.
and the why. When you
Yeah.
analyze, if you analyze, you will get to a what and a why regardless if it's positive or negative, if it's do or don't. You'll get to a what and why, but it's not override, not using one to override the other one. That's the way you
Yeah.
do
I
the
get it.
right things for the right reasons.
Yeah. But like you said, it all based on the elevation of a thing. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you stay at like if you stay at the what stage, right? I feel that's the intuition because you like okay. I know why. What is this person talking about? What are they trying to say? Right. But when you get to the discernment, it's like, now I understand why it was broken down this way. Why
Mm-hmm.
I now I understand why that was it was spoken in format, in that format, right there. So there has to be an elevation of a thing, because I know, there could be people who's below the intuition level. Like, I'm starting to understand what you're saying, right? Because we're talking about what and why. Because some people may stay at the who level. Who the hell he talking to like that? Or who she, you know what I mean? Like, so there has to be an elevation of the intuition and to the discernment, because the person that's in the who, they're below it all, and not even
Below
understanding
what?
yeah, they don't understand the what or the why. It could never get to the how. You see what I'm saying? So I understand what you're saying.
It's my bad. You keep going in and out. I don't know if you talking or not.
Oh no, I'm done.
But like you just said, that I'm gonna hop down and go set it back for a minute and be right back. But like you was just saying, the the why. The why is the other person. So even when we talk about emotional intelligence or social intelligence, it's two aspects of the duality. It's understanding self and understanding outside of self. You see what I'm saying? So the why is always the outside part, the stimulant. Why did this happen? Why did they say this? Is you comprehending? Okay, you got one aspect of what this is what happened, but why did it happen? Because once you understand why it happens, you gain information, you gain knowledge. And that's how you build discernment, is by understanding the situations. The more you even if you go through the same situation three times, think about what I'm saying. If you go through the same situation three times, is the conditions the same? Is the conditions always the same? Or is the situation always the same? Or is it more of the outcome? If you with somebody and they cheated on you, and you ask somebody who cheated, and do you always get the same answer? If you do, that's consistency in you. That's something that you doing consistently that other people don't like, and it has this effect. But if it's different things, that's because um, the situations are different. So the same thing may happen, but it may happen for different reasons. So that's why it's important to develop discernment and understand that everything doesn't happen the same for the same reason, because now you can better analyze and understand. That's why you have to eliminate discernment eliminates judgment. When you develop discernment, you will begin not to judge, but just to know. Like if you know something, then what's the point of judging? It's almost beyond judging is you giving your opinion. Knowing is you knowing. So if you know it ain't good for you, what do? You stay away from it. But if you judging stuff, you tend to stay around that same stuff. Just observe what I just said. This is
Yeah, I really
understanding
am.
I
Trust.
had to come to, bro. Like this, I understood that. This is why I say I don't do certain things, because I'm like, I'm sitting up here. Why do you think I don't come over here and criticize people? I may look at a behavior and explain a behavior, but I'm not gonna say this person is X, Y, and Z. I can, but I don't, because that's judgment. I'm just analyzing the situation. Let's talk about what happened. I take the people really out of the situation if I could, and just talk
But can
straight
you?
behavior.
But
Okay,
can
go
you
ahead.
judge with? Could you judge with objectivity? See, that's the thing. Like, I was trying to get a position of, okay, even with clarity, even with discernment, there still may be judgment, whether it's intentional or not. It can still be judgment. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's why, when you were saying the judgment part, I was like, ooh, maybe, because at the end of the day, your judgment of a person may not have to be spoken, but your actions is still it comes from your judgment. You see what I'm saying? Like if I see if I see that person likes vanilla ice cream and I don't like it, they're not a bad person, but I know I can't, you know, that's not my cup of tea. That's still a form of judgment. You know what I mean? Like you won't rock with the person because they like vanilla ice cream. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, I love these like the conversation we having is great because it gives people time to, understand where we're trying to go, and then they can add their 2 cents and then apply it to their own situations in life. So, we just gotta continue to have the conversation because at the end of the day, like you said, we could be saying the same thing but going two different ways. And the fact that we agree is for me is the focal point because at the end of the day we're saying the same thing.
And see, you know what? That's why I enjoy conversation like this with you and like with Lady Shay, like we did the other day. We all had the same result, but just different ways to get to it. It ain't one way to skin a cat. Is a one size fit all is not. It's not what it is. It's levels to everything. So if someone is on a certain level, then what you say may not work. Maybe they need to go a little lower, and what I say may work. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, and that's a concept, but it's so many different realities within reality. Like even when people talking, that's why people. One of the most common phrases people say to one another is, "I told you that," but you heard someone else say it and you believe. Like I hear that and just interacting with couples, I always hear that. I say it to my wife all the time. And that's because different things resonate with different people. So me and you can be saying the same thing, but we can be reaching two different crowds because people resonate with me and people resonate with you, even though we saying the same thing. But people get into competition instead of saying like, okay, let's just get together and you know, um, give the information in our own particular way, and whoever received my way, whoever. But people get into no, my way is better. My way is better. Your way is better for you. My way is better for me. Those are all facts. So if my way is better for me and your way is better for you, why don't we just share? Why are we at competition? Because my way is gonna work for some, your way is gonna work for some. That's how it should be. But I don't know, bro. People weird.
But even in that concept, right? Like if we leave it right there, right? If if we're doing something for the right reason, right? The discernment should be the right reason. If you in your if you saying my way is right or whatever, if you feel like there's a competition, that's an intuition because if you're doing something correctly, there is no competition of doing right. You see what I'm saying? So there should never be a competition. It's only a competition because you're in your feelings about the aspect of where the thing is going. I me like if we're all like I just said, we're saying the same thing. So I'm in discernment like we're on the same path. It's not okay. Well, what I'm saying is better because if I go that aspect, I'm in an intuition level instead of discernment because now it's about my feelings. It's about me trying to make myself be right, even if we're both saying the same thing. The way I'm saying is correct. No, that's where intuition lies. Where discernment is okay. You know what? We are saying the same thing. You go ahead and continue, and then I can explain where I was coming from. That eliminates that competition of trying to be right or trying to be smarter than a person. You see what I'm saying? So even in this level of conversation, we're showing. I'm trying to show the difference between the intuition side and the discernment side. Because if we're both saying the same thing, there can't be no competition. And if there is no competition, we both have an understanding of what we're saying instead of trying to prove that my way is right or my feeling or my aspect is correct in the intuition level. So, you know, I like
Yeah,
that analogy for that reason.
yeah, it's just an analogy. She's like, why are we talking about competition? No, it's duality, so and it's something common that, I think everyone can relate to. So like that's why. But let me jump down, bro. I appreciate you having
Yeah, I
having me.
appreciate you stopping up here. I appreciate you. We'll probably have, if you want to pick it up at another time, we can have that conversation at another time. You go ahead and set yourself up. We'll be over there shortly.
All right, I appreciate you, man.
Alrighty.
Appreciate
Yeah,
everybody in the chat. I just looked at it. What up, though? But yeah, I'll
yeah,
be out.
yeah. All right. I'll let you later. So, guys, that conversation of intuition versus discernment, right? It's not really a versus. Even with the versus part, you comparing it, but you're not. You know what I mean? You comparing it and see if they're relatable, and it's not necessarily. Liz, good morning. Yeah, it's morning time. Good morning, Liz. It's not a, it's comparable but not a, you know what I mean, it's not a what if or against or whatever. We trying to show that it could be on the right path, but one has to be higher than the other. It can't be on the same level. That's why I continuously compare it to like and love, because if it's like and love, it okay, you like something and then it elevates into love. If you in your feelings, to me that's intuition. And then as you elevate and get away from that lower level of feeling, and it becomes clear that you stepping away from your feelings. Now you can see things with clarity and understanding, and that's what leads to discernment. Excuse me. So that's why, as having a conversation, I feel like I said earlier, for those that just coming in, you can be on the same path, but it has to be a separation to get to that destination. So it's not like, you know, your intuition is bad and discernment is good. It's just the simple fact that if you stay in your intuition, you're more into your feelings and not upset about, or why you're feeling that the way that you're feeling. Like me and Word were just talking about. The intuition is the what, the discernment is the why. So once you get by the what, now you can say, well, now I understand why A, B is C, or why a person is feeling that way, or why I thought you said it in this format and it may not have been where it was going with it. So, it was a great conversation. I don't know if anybody, I think, well, I don't even know if the link is still in there, if anybody else wanted to come up. But if not, I just wanted everybody, to understand my position of the intuition versus discernment conversation. Because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people may think that thing is the same thing. They may think that intuition and discernment is the same thing. But to me, it's like saying like and love is the same thing, or what and why is the same thing, or you know what I mean? Even if you say religion and spirituality, it's not the same thing. It may be on the same path, but it's not the same thing. There's differences to where that's not a word, Commander. I can't stand you sometimes. Discernment is more gooder, in my opinion. But take what you got. and use to the best of your ability. Okay, Miss Gooder. But you want to understand that it has to be a difference. You have to separate the what's from the whys so you can see things in a in a clearer aspect of a thing. So now you can say, you know what, I don't think that person was trying to disrespect me, or if I seen it as disrespect, I know why. I know it came out the way that it came out. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not always cut and dry. Just like intuition and discernment is not as cut as dry. There's a difference in the thing. And in order for you to have that difference, you must have the clarity of discernment is what separates discernment from intuition. So, with that being said, and I think I got everybody's comment. And since nobody has decided to come out or come up and add an opinion or a conversation. So, unless well, I ain't see nobody pop up yet. So with that, no problem, Lady Shay. But with that being said, guys, I just wanted to, have that conversation. Like I said, somebody asked me to elaborate on that in my discernment live. And so I just decided to pick up on it today. So with that being said, I truly appreciate y'all stopping by. I was happy to see all of you in the chat. You know, it's always a pleasure to have a conversation. Shout out to Word for jumping up here and having that conversation with me. It's always, listen, as long as you can have a conversation, you can always gain information. Even if you don't agree with what what is being said, you can still learn from it. In this particular case, I did agree with him, but what I'm saying is you can agree to disagree and still gain something from a conversation. So, like I said, with that being said, I truly appreciate y'all showing up. I believe Word is getting ready to start. If not starting his live, y'all go on over there and check him out. And I'll holler at you guys later. One love, I'm out. Yeah, Lady Shade. I had put the I had put it up there. I mean, if you want to come up, it's okay. I don't have a problem of putting it back up. Well, I did have a problem putting it back up there. I forgot how I did it. But it's in the chat. It's in the chat up there somewhere. I could have sworn I put it up there. Yeah, it's right. It's there still. If you wanted to come up and add something to it, whether it's you, I mean, if it don't matter if you come up and Trizzy want to come up, whoever wants to come up, it's okay. I was just running out of words. I'll listen to everybody and we can have a conversation or spark a conversation from there. If that's what everybody wants to do. But I truly appreciate y'all. If you do come up, if you don't come up, I truly appreciate y'all. If y'all don't come up, you know what I mean. It's all understandable. Thank you, Commander. So I'll give y'all a couple of minutes if y'all decide to come up. I ain't got it's, it was a good conversation. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had because a lot of us is going about you know things in a different format. We're so busy, trusting our gut and not trusting our mind. And so for me, that's another difference between intuition and discernment. Intuition is more, like I said earlier, it's a physical thing to me. And because like I said, gut feeling, butterflies in the stomach, all of those type of things. That's an emotional thing, but that emotion is leading to a physical thing and not a spiritual or mental capacity. It would always start with the physical and then lead somewhere else. To where discernment, it may start as an intuition, but it always end up as a clarity of the mind. So it's more of a mental scenario. So you're silly. I don't wanna. You don't want to hold me. Oh, okay. Hold on, Lady Shay. Good morning.
Good evening, good evening. Gratitude for allowing me out.
Yeah. So like I said, it's. I mean, the physical aspect of intuition is pretty much, oh, the emotional side of it. Even though people may not elaborate it as a physical concept, but discernment is the clarity of mind to me. And so because it's a clarity of mind, I'm always going to put discernment as a mental, even though a lot of people may say it's spiritual, and it is spiritual, but your spirit always leads to your mind anyway. What you think about that, Lady Shay?
No, I agree with that 1,000%. As much as I use my heart or feelings, I definitely got to put in that mindset, mental mindsets. Always a big issue, right? You gotta know, and you gotta really discern, like you said, right? Because there's a lot of stuff out here. So yeah, definitely gotta use the logic, common sense, right?
You see, but for a lot of it's like common sense is like chivalry now. It's almost a fleeting. It's almost dead. So if you lean on your intuition, that means your feeling continues to drive whatever you're thinking about. You know what I mean? And the difference for me, like I said, with discernment, you have to be clear of all attributes. You could take the emotion, see where it is, but you have to remove it so now you can put a better thought process on it, even if it was based on your feeling. Now your discernment could kick in and say if it was right or wrong. But as long as you in your intuition, like cheating, for example, we've been using cheating. So I feel like you cheating, but I ain't got nothing to prove it. All because you came home at 2 o'clock in the morning. Where you been? Oh, I was with the fellas. Oh, you lying. Now, if you put that into discernment, you can say, well, maybe, I know you was with you guys, so my intuition was off. I don't. I think what Word was trying to say is that you can't have a false discernment. You know what I mean? But your intuition can be wrong. So if we look at it that way, then that's another way of separating the two. So it's just a point of aspect, and if you don't know how to separate the two, you may never reach the highest point, which would be discernment.
I don't want to be mean when I say this because I'm really not trying to do that. I'm speaking solely from my experience, okay? I hear that so often, and I swear it drives me crazy. What's wrong with feelings? Why we gotta be robotic over here? But besides that, let me put a pin in that and hold it, right? Let me just throw out this question really quick. Um, Words are used and thrown around so often that it's irritating. So, question is, are people using the word intuition for assumption, maybe, or speculation, or maybe even just the thoughts and calling it intuition when it's really not?
Well, when you ask that question, you make it you make it all like a not a compound word, but it's more like you putting it all together, right? Because intuition can be an assumption. Intuition can, an assumption could be, assumption is a thought process. Intuition could be a feeling. You see what I'm saying? So it can be misused, but people don't know how to. may not know how to use it right. Because if you use an intuition as an assumption, it may not be intuition, because intuition is to come to it's instantaneous. So it may not be that feeling, but you could just be assuming, but it's not a feeling. You see what I'm saying? So in your to your the answer to your question is, it can be used wrong. It could be overused and misused in a lot of aspects, because like you said, if you assuming, that's not an intuition, but people may say that's intuition. That's why when I said intuition and discernment, like your feeling is not a discernment, because you don't have the clarity of mind. So people may use intuition to say that's discernment as well. So I'm answering your question, yes, because of exactly what you said, and plus of how I just used people saying that intuition is discernment, and it's not, because you don't have a clarity or clearness to come to a conclusion, but you just relying on that intuition or your feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when using a topic like you said with cheating, right? Because that can just go a little bit everywhere. And let's be honest, when we're in relationships, feelings tend to get involved. Am I right or am I right? So yeah, we always have to stretch for that voice of reason, that clarity, that logic. And if we do have feelings, whether it's assumptions or actual feelings, let's wait, let's pause, and let's put some discernment to it. Let's put some common sense to it. I can't say it enough. Common sense is really needed, and we should strive for it individually. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I mean, mm, it's always based on what you want out of your situation or how you want your life to go. It's how I always equate it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. And that's what me and Word was actually having a conversation of how to do the best to separate certain things in that format, because like you said, if it's an assumption, that's not a feeling. You just believe that's what it is, and then trying to make it a feeling, like I knew you was doing it, but I wasn't doing it, so it was all in your mind at the same time. So that's not an intuition. You see what I'm saying? But because people just they want to make their thoughts a feeling, that's why I asked, can you have a false discernment? I know you can have false intuition, because not I'm not going to say 9 times out of 10. There are times where your intuition is not correct. It's off, because you based it on something that you thought was a feeling, and it probably wasn't a feeling. It was just a thought process. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, we have a tendency of doing that. But like I said, if everybody had common sense, the world would be a better place. But like I also said earlier, common sense is not common anymore, because we bypass common sense and just think that our knowing is common to everybody, but we all have different thought processes. So um, I definitely agree with what you were saying. Excuse me, as far as all of the nuances of accusations and assumptions and all of those things, and we have a tendency of placing it in the wrong places, in the wrong aspects. But that's why having conversations like this, we can actually see the errors of our ways and try to eliminate it, so where we don't have to make these mistakes anymore.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely right. Because like I always say, no one's perfect, right? And of course, we go through trials and errors, and hopefully, through that, we learn the lessons and grow from there. But w- without challenges or errors or mistakes, even can one really grow? Right, like they say, if everything was a perfect world and we had everything we wanted right there at the grips of our fingertips, would that really make us happy? Would that really make us fulfilled? Would we not, I mean, would we be able to do everything that's needed? You know? So, yeah, definitely common sense is really needed. And no, it's really not common. And so that's why I definitely promote it. You know, sometimes you just got to throw common sense in there. And sometimes you really got to say, I don't know. Right? And you got to ask questions until you can figure out. And, hey, this is just me. Sometimes you gotta put a little feeling in there, right? Sometimes you gotta care, especially when you're concerned. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just common sense to me. But definitely, you gotta have these conversations, right? Because it's not so common for everybody else. And hey, helping hand is always needed.
And it just goes to show you how much discernment that you and I can have, and not just saying it with with feelings, because we understand that these conversations are needed, and it's not to, belittle anybody, or it's not to say we know everything. It's just the simple fact that this may be helping somebody. You know what I mean? It may make something clear between of the differences between intuition and discernment. And as long as you have that, if you have the understanding correctly, then you don't have to make the mistakes. Well, I can stay in my intuition and think it's discernment, or I don't have to lower my discernment into an intuition because I'm where I need to be. You see what I mean? But as long as you don't have these conversations and people think that their way is the right way or whatever, if they apply these concepts that we're speaking about and it worked for them, they have just improved on themselves, and now they don't have to live in the intuition levels of life, and now they can have discernment, and it could supersede their intuition. So now they don't have to be worried about every little thing. They don't have to worry about every little feeling, because once you have these conversations, now you can see with clarity that the intuition may be false, and I don't have to see a vision that's not needed because I have discernment now. So that's why these conversations are needed, and that's why a man and a woman such as you and I, we can have these conversations, and hopefully it shows that, hey, we can have these civil conversations and we can make things make sense, and there's no battle of sexes or anything like that, but we can have a civil conversation and draw a conclusion, even though in this case we are agreeing, but we're learning something from one another. So anytime this type of concept happens and you can gain information, it's always a plus.
Again, absolutely agree, right? Because there's just so much confusion going on, I swear. I'm not gonna hold you. I'll be really quick, and I'll probably hop down. I definitely enjoyed getting this chance to talk with you on your channel, right? Shout out to you and the channel and everyone in the chat, right? So for my closing, I'll say this. Um, if it doesn't fit, don't force it, right? And again, we gotta ask those questions to figure out if it does make sense or if it fits for us, right? And again, I gotta say it. I just gotta say it. I just gotta say it. Don't always go with the feelings, right? But sometimes add the feelings because it's needed. We're not robots. We're living and breathing. So we, of course, have feelings. Can attach to them, but we can explore them, and we can even share them as a way to maneuver through life. And with that, um, yeah, I'll digress. And again, gratitude for allowing me up.
I appreciate you coming up. Like I said, and it made sense. Having that conversation from a female perspective, because we can't we a man we can only speculate how a woman will feel about a conversation like this, but your perspective will, you know I'm pretty sure that some of the people that was in here, can agree with some of the things that you said. And if they don't agree with it, it's just, they could see it from both sides. But the fact that you came up and had this conversation or added your wisdom and understanding of the situation is going to help somebody down the line. It may not, not just the people that's listening to the live right now, but to anybody that catches the replay. So I truly appreciate you coming up. I truly appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me and to better the conversation as a whole. So I truly appreciate you coming up. And, like y'all heard Lady Shay's final comments, and now I will make mine. So, um, intuition and discernment. You can say it's you can say it's going on the right path, it's leading you to a path, but you must understand it can get you to two different destinations. It has to elevate. You have to cross the bridge in order to get to that, right? Discernment is the bottom of the bridge. I mean, excuse me, intuition is the bottom, and discernment is on the other side. You must have one to get to the other, and if you stay on one side, you can't reach the other. So just have that thought process as you go along and into your everyday life. Because if you don't understand that discernment can elevate your intuition, you can actually leave your intuition faster than staying there for the longest period of time. You don't have to be stuck in your intuition. Your discernment can help you remove the feelings into your decisions in life and allow you to see that your decision may be the right one. So that's the difference for me between intuition and discernment. I truly thank y'all for staying by. Safayu, good morning. So I truly thank y'all for stopping by. And hearing the conversation, hopefully it'll clear some situations up for you. And if you apply it and it works for you, then it's for you. And if it doesn't work for you, you can at least say that you tried it. And even if I was wrong in this situation, you could say you tried it and go ahead and try your another way to distinguish the difference between intuition and discernment. With that being said, I truly thank y'all for stopping by. For anybody that's, still trying to, be on these streets, word is live. Y'all go ahead and check him out. Until then, I'm out.